Well, hello again and welcome back to my channel and this rather nice English walnut and bright blue resin coffee table. Now, there is a little bit of a backstory to why I made this table, so if you want to hear a little bit more about that, then stay with me. If you want to cut straight to the build, then somewhere on the screen a time thing will come up now and you can just ignore me and go straight to looking how I made this. Right, okay, here we go. Now, YouTube is probably not the best platform for me to be discussing some of these things, but I'm going to give a bit of an overview with a view to maybe in the future some other kind of format or platform for me to discuss it in a little bit more detail. It's just gone past my fourth, I don't want to use the term, maybe anniversary of a car crash that made me a disabled person. Now, living with a disability isn't great. I'm not going to mince my words. It can be frustrating, it can be tiring, it can make you angry, it can give you a whole range of emotions. But, you know, over the course of the 4 years, I have learned to adapt and change my life accordingly. And, you know, I've taught myself woodworking, you know, I've taught myself making stuff. You know, I make things now I never would have been doing or been able to do before when I was an able-bodied person. So disability, yeah, it's not great. I haven't got really the words I can use here to explain it fully. Chronic pain is horrific, okay, and that's unfortunately another part of my life I'm learning to live with. Chronic pain is the most debilitating condition you could possibly imagine. It affects every aspect of your life. It affects your rest, it affects your mental health, it affects your capacity to have rational thought. You know, that's a real difficult one for me sometimes, and learning to live with it is not easy. I had a recent conversation with a consultant surgeon, and I said to him, I said, if you put me 2 envelopes on the table, and envelope 1 was, I'll give you the use of your arm back, but you have to live with the pain, you have to stay with the pain, or option 2 is your arm is always going to be in the state it's in, that you won't be able to use it. However, we'll take the pain away. Give me option 2 any day of the week. That's how debilitating chronic pain is. So if you can get some form of relief from chronic pain, even if it's only for a day, an evening, a few hours, then it's such a big help, which brings me to this table. Now, I go to see a acupuncture and massage therapist called Megan, and Megan's always worked in various units and rented places, and she's finally got her own place, which is not far from where I am. So I offered, as a gesture of thank you for everything she does for me and for Pam as well, to make a coffee table for her reception area in her new unit, in her new place. So I've just finished it, you know, and I'm really proud of it. The blue itself, I've tried as best I can to match it to her logo. So it's not a colour I would normally have gone for in a resin project, wood resin project, and I was a little bit unsure of it, to be honest, at the start, but I'm really happy with how it's turned out. I think the contrast between the wood and the resin, I think really does look the part. Anyway, I've waffled on enough. I will do a little bit of a me update actually about some other bits and pieces. If you follow me on social media, you'll know about these kind of things at the end of the video. So I'm going to cut to the build now. Hope you enjoy it, and I'll see you at the end. Well, very nearly a classic example of measure twice, cut once. I completely had it in my head. In old money, it was 30 inches long, 20 inches wide, 20 inches tall. I've written the dimensions down. Just double checked with her before I went to do the first cut with the track saw. It's 36 inches. 36 inches long, 20 wide, 20 tall. So, thankfully, that's all sorted. Now, we are at the stage where I'm going to start making the mould for the resin pour. What I'm going to do with this one, it's a little bit different to some of the other videos I've done before. It has got a bit of a wobble in it. Normally at this stage, I'd get the router sled out and get it all level and stuff, but I really want to keep it chunky. It's over 50 mil thick. So what I'm going to do is I am going to do a resin pour into the mould and then inlay the slab and then pour the resin around the sides, so we get like a level base and then level it off that way, so we have to take a tiny amount off. I've done it twice before. Once was fantastic, looked great, all nice and level. The other one I'd rather not talk about. So let's hope it was on the former and not the latter. Right, let's get the resin mould made up. Oh, by the way, I love using this workbench. It makes life so much more efficient and easier. Right, enough chit chat. Let's see how we get on. Morning. Right, it's resin pour day. I've got the glass cast, the resin and the hardener just warming up in a bucket of warm water, ready to go for that. And the colour, because I've got Megan's business card, we're trying to match the colour as best as possible. Now, I picked these up from Maker Central last weekend. Really good. It was a good stand, this. And I've got two colours, the blue and with a little bit of white, I think, mixed in. Should get us there or thereabouts. Now, with it being a deep pour, so it's going to be about 50 mil this, just got to remember your ratios really. So whatever I mix up in here, in relation to how much resin I pour in that first one, I'm just going to make sure I kind of make that similar for the second one so you get an identical colour, if that makes sense. And the other thing as well is I'm always thinking of, particularly on your second pour, if you've got resin left over, what do you do? And you end up scrambling around trying to find something to fill it with. If you try and come up with something beforehand at this stage now, and if you have got a little bit left over, then all the better and you can use it for that. And if I've got any left over for this second pour, look at this. I posted this on Instagram a couple of weeks back. Yeah, how big was the worm? Or what was it? Do you know what caused them? But that would make a brilliant candle holder with the same colour resin filled in, I think. So that's a contingency in case I've got a little bit too much. Yeah, and just don't forget your mix ratios on your resin as well. If you're using glass cast, that's a 50, it's 100 to 45 by weight. So for every 100 grams of resin, you use 45 grams of hardener. But it's different for different companies, so make sure you check that. Okay, I think I best finish this brew and then I'm gonna crack on. Well, I hope you enjoyed that build video. It doesn't go into a lot of detail, but if you look in my back catalogue for things like, you know, how to build the resin mould, or tips for using the resin, or the actual putting the recess underneath for the table legs, then I've got much more detailed videos in my catalogue there if you want to have a look. Some of the things I'm not happy about and I'll do differently, these things here, these threaded inserts, I think they're made of brass. They might as well have been made of chocolate. They were absolutely shocking. So if you have know where I can get my hands on some better quality ones, then please let me know. I'm also going to stop doing the resin pour and then using that to kind of level off the piece of timber as you've seen in the video. It's just too much waste. I wanted to try and keep it chunky, but it ended up trying to get it flat on the when I was planing it with my router sled. I just had to keep going and going, and it wasted loads of resin, and it's not the cheapest stuff to buy. So I'm going to make sure in future ones that I try and get the slab as flat as I possibly can before going into the resin pour. Right, that's enough of all that. Just one final little update about me. And I say, if you follow me on social media, you'll know this. This week I had surgery and it was called a spinal cord implant or a spinal cord stimulator. It's the trial version. I haven't suddenly bulked up on my bad arm. This is the battery here and it's all hooked up. I've got wires coming out of my back at the moment and it's in place for a while, and this again, it's not to try and regain movement in my arm because the likelihood of that's gone now, but it's to try and help reduce the chronic pain in my shoulder like I was talking about earlier, but on more of a permanent basis. I'm currently having to go through these testings with different frequencies and different intensity levels, so it's in for a week, and if it's seen to be a success, everything gets taken out and then I go on the list for the permanent implant. So all the battery and the computer and all that kind of stuff gets put inside you, and then that is to hopefully help me with chronic pain. Just kind of early indications suggest there are some potentially positive outcomes from this, so I'm keeping my fingers crossed, and we'll see how it goes for the next few days. And just a huge thank you, not that they'll see this, to the good folk at the Walton Centre in Liverpool, which is a neurological centre, and I am under their care and have been for a few years now. They are an incredible bunch of people. I don't want to talk too much because I'll get a little bit emotional about it. Thank you to them, thank you to everything they do for me, and thank you to all the help they give me. Okay, and thank you to all you guys as well for your good wishes via Instagram and Facebook and through YouTube obviously as well. Okay, that's it for this one, folks. I do hope you've enjoyed it. Slightly different in terms of the intro and the outro, but I thought I'd give you a little bit of an update. Okay, as ever everyone, take care, look after yourselves, and I'll see you soon. Thanks for watching.